I'm Daphne, and welcome to GME Compass, where we turn the complexities of GME into clarity. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you have finished a really busy week or month like we just had and thought, I'm just working incredibly hard, but I don't know if I'm actually growing professionally. I think many of us have been there. In GME, we are constantly focused on everyone else's growth. We're helping our residents become physicians. We're helping our fellows become specialists. We're supporting our faculty. And we're also helping our programs improve. But somewhere along those lines, it seems easy to stop investing in ourselves. We're so busy managing the programs that we forget to manage our own careers. Today's episode isn't about becoming a manager or earning another title. It's about becoming a stronger GME professional because growth starts long before the title changes. Over the past 15 years in GME, I've had the opportunity to learn from incredible program directors and coordinators, GME leaders, residents, colleagues from across the country. And along those ways, I've made plenty of mistakes, still making mistakes. I've found mentors. I've attended conferences. I've volunteered for projects that I wasn't sure if I was really ready for and learned lessons I wish someone taught me much sooner. When I look back, I realized something that my career wasn't shaped by one promotion. It wasn't shaped by a conference that I made. And I'd like to share that roadmap with you. Not because it's the only roadmap, because it's not, but because I believe that these are strategies that can help anyone continuing to grow in GME, whether you've been in the field for 6 months or 20 years. So here's where we're going to go today. We're going to walk through the 3 stages of professional growth. First, we'll talk about how to build your foundation. Then we're going to discuss how to invest in yourself. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to expand your impact. These aren't isolated steps. Each one builds on the one before it. So let's start where every successful career should begin, which is the foundation. Every successful career starts with a strong foundation. Think about building a house. No one starts with the roof. You start with the foundation because everything else depends on it. And that's the same in GME. Before you can confidently lead a project, before you can mentor someone else, before you can improve a system, you first have to build your foundation. For me, that foundation came down to 2 things: technical knowledge and then strong systems. And let's start with the technical knowledge. One of the biggest things I hear from coordinators is, I need to know everything. And from someone that feels the need to know everything, no, you don't. What you do need to know is where to find the reliable information and then how to apply it. That is a very different skill. Spend time with your common program requirements. Get to know your specialty specific requirements. Read those letters of notification from the review committee, even with the ones with citations and areas of improvement. Explore your frequently asked questions. Those are actually a goldmine of additional information and guidance. Become comfortable navigating ADS. You know, they just changed it on us and we're still trying to figure out where all the different tabs are. Read your citations. As I said before, they teach us so much more than what the requirements themselves just tell us. Don't wait for accreditation season to come around to learn. Make learning part of your routine. One of the things that changed my confidence early in my career was setting aside time every week to simply learn. I'm talking about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And if I was blessed to have a whole an hour once a week. Not because anyone asked me to, but because I wanted to understand the why behind what we do. Daphne always needs to know the why. Little by little, that knowledge became confidence. And then confidence changed the way that I was able to have conversations, or the conversations now that I was able to have with my program directors and faculty. Now, the technical knowledge is only half of the foundation because you can know every requirement, but yet still feel overwhelmed every day. And then that's where your systems comes in. If you ever feel like you're constantly putting out fires, it may not be because you have too much work. And don't get me wrong, there's always fires to put out. But it also may be because you don't have systems that are actually supporting the work that you're trying to do. Think about your own office. How do you organize your deadlines? How do you prepare for recruitment? How do you track your annual requirements? How do you organize your email? If someone needed to cover your program tomorrow, could they follow your workflow? Someone came sat in this chair. Yep, I can go on ahead and do Daphne's work. Successful coordinators, we don't rely on our memory. We rely on systems. Some of the biggest improvements I ever made weren't learning another regulation or requirement. They were creating annual calendars and templates and checklists and standard workflows and things that reduced the stress or my stress and made my work more consistent. So here's a challenge for you. When you get back into your office, don't ask, what can I do faster? Instead, I want you to ask, what system can I build so I don't have to reinvent this next year? Because strong systems don't just save time, but they actually create a space for you to grow. Now that we've built our foundation, the next question becomes, how do we continue growing once we become good at our jobs? And this is where many careers either continue moving forward, which mine thankfully did, or they begin to plateau. Technical knowledge helps you become competent, but intentional learning is what helps you continue growing. One thing that I've learned over the years is that professional development doesn't happen by accident. It requires intention. Attend conferences, watch ACGME webinars, join professional organizations, read articles, take online courses, listen to podcasts, find mentors, connect with other coordinators outside your institution. Some of the best ideas I've ever brought back to my own program, they didn't come from my office or from any one of my close colleagues. They actually came from conversations with people that are doing the same work in different places. The conversations reminded me that there is almost never only one way to solve a problem. Learning from others expanded the way that I thought about my own work. But investing in yourself isn't only about learning, right? It's also about creating opportunities for yourself. How do you create those opportunities for yourself? You volunteer for committees. You offer to lead a project. You present at a workshop. You help a new coordinator in your institution. You become involved in your GME office. I loved doing things or projects, or when the GME office would call me and say, "Hey, we have this idea and we would love your help on it." Some of the biggest opportunities in my career weren't assigned to me. They just happened because I raised my hand. And if I'm being honest, there were plenty of times, probably all of those times that I raised my hand, that I didn't feel like I was completely ready. But something that I also did learn is that the confidence usually comes after the opportunity, not before it. If you're waiting till you feel completely ready, you might be waiting for a very long time, and you might want to think about that. Now that you've built your foundation, you've invested in yourself, the final step is taking everything that you've learned and expanding your impact. At some point in every career, growth becomes less about what you know and about the impact that you actually have on people around you. That starts with relationships. GME is a team sport. None of us can do this work alone. Build relationships with your program directors and faculty, your residents, your fellows, your GME office, other coordinators, professional organizations. Some of the greatest mentors I've had probably didn't realize that they were mentoring me. I can name a few now that would never realize that that I considered them a mentor. Some of the professional opportunities I've had started with simple conversation. Never underestimate the value of building genuine relationships. Strong relationships create opportunities, but leadership is what allows you to maximize on those opportunities. Leadership isn't about always having a title. Leadership is about taking ownership. It's asking, how can I make this better? Instead of, whose responsibility is this? One of the biggest shifts in my own career happened when I stopped focusing on only completing the work. I know that sounds totally off the chart. And then I started looking for ways instead to improve the work. Sometimes those improvements were small. Sometimes they saved hours of time. Sometimes they improved communication. Sometimes they made life easier for my residents, faculty, or my fellow coordinators. Leadership begins again long before you even get the title or that's even given to you. It begins with initiative. So we've talked about building your foundation. We talked about investing in yourself. We talked about expanding your impact. The next question now is, what happens when you leave the room? Because information alone doesn't change careers. Action does. I'd like to leave you with one challenge. Don't leave here today saying, "Oh, Daphne, that was a great presentation. Thanks. That was nice." I want you to leave here with a plan. Every person watching this is in a different stage in their GME journey. Some of you are brand new, some of you have been doing this for years, but every single one of us has another step we can take. So before you leave here today, ask yourself, what technical skill can I strengthen this year? What system can I improve? How can I continue learning? What opportunities will I say yes to? Who do I want to learn from? What problems can I solve? You don't have to tackle all six of these this week, and please don't. I want you to choose one, and I want you to start there. Then keep building. Because after 15 years in GME, here's what I do know. People who continue growing aren't always the smartest people in the room. They aren't always the most experienced. But they're the ones who stay curious. They're the ones that keep learning, and they're the ones that keep improving. They continue investing in themselves even after they become comfortable. And over time, those small intentional decisions become remarkable careers. Thank you so much for watching this episode of GME Compass. I hope this episode gives you a roadmap or a starting point for your own professional growth and at least one idea that you can put into practice this week. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to join our growing GME Compass community if you haven't already. Please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn and Instagram, where we continue to have the conversations and share additional resources, insights, and updates. If this episode resonated with you, please consider giving it a thumbs up and also sharing it with a colleague or sending it to a new coordinator who could benefit from it. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving your career forward. Bye.